congratulations on your first movie being a world premiere at Sundance. I'm sure this is a crazy experience for you.
It is. This is a dream come true.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, this is our best case scenario.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, did you ever have an idea that, like, you know, you'd have the support of Neon and then you'd be at this festival like this? I mean, what was your kind of vision of what it was that you were making when you were first starting out?
Yeah, you know, this project, it's been 5 years. First 2 years, it was just me in the trenches of applying to a million grants. When Olivia agreed to be a collaborator in this and my producer, Getty Feline, joined, that's when I would say the filming really began. And shortly after that, you know, we had a pitch accelerator, pitched to Neon. They were really into the project. I feel super lucky as a first-time filmmaker because they are a sales company. So the idea of them entering a project at the stage they did for a first-time filmmaker has been surreal. And yeah, I think, you know, we definitely sold them on like, this is gonna be a hit. We're gonna go to Sundance. They were expecting it a year ago. We're like, okay, but next Sundance, let me tell you. So it's really, I'm glad we were able to make good on that because this has been the end goal and we didn't have much of a plan B.
Yeah. Also, like, I think super early on, like, field of vision was like really, like, when we were pitching, like, our first, like, go ahead, you guys. Like, we were able to, like, do, like, the first 12 minutes and, like, really, yeah, they were just, like, super supportive of the, like, experimental qualities of it from the beginning, which was super sick because that was, like, that's kind of when you have the buy-in to kind of just, like, be as weird as you want. And, like, we were able to use that funding to really showcase how weird we could get to Neon, which was, like, super sick.
Yeah.
Well, I think what really enhances the movie is that, well, of course you have the story of Renée L'Espérance. There's also this whole other story of this sort of mental, emotional toll that the project is taking on you, and you don't shy away from that. And the fact that it's happening in the pandemic, and you don't try to conceal that at all. Were there moments either during the production or in the edit where you considered like pulling back on some of the more like personal elements, or was this always like top of mind for when you were starting off on the movie?
I think we were constantly, I think Olivia was super generous also because I am of the opinion, like, film everything. Like, if I'm crying, zoom in, you know, like get the shot. And I think for Olivia, we had to like build that trust and she's just been so down for the count. I think, so we filmed everything and then it was more of a conversation in the edit of how do we carve out our stories in a way that accurately reflects us as human beings. But we're also characters on screen and we want to have arcs. So yeah, I think a lot has changed in terms of like, the film was there was a lot more of me crying in the film, believe it or not. And we decided we wanted more levity. And also it's just something like for every tear shed, they all lose their impact. So for me, I think we dialed down some of the like crisis mode so that we could relish in the joy. And Olivia, I'll let you speak to kind of how we navigated that.
Yeah, I feel like there was a sense of like not knowing the balance. Well, no, not knowing, but choreographing, like figuring out the balance between like showing our journey and kind of like allowing the viewer to kind of like be in the car seat with us, like as we go on this little journey. Because a lot of times like there's a version of the film where like it's super focused on like the subject and we don't really acknowledge like who it is and whose lens through which we're talking about the stuff. But I think because we're so present, it's like very obvious that like the opinions, the questions that the people that we're talking to are getting asked, that they're all getting filtered between the kinds of things that you and I are curious about. Which is like when you're making a documentary, there's like the false objectivity, like super scientific gaze that you can like get trapped in.
Totally. Yeah, with the investigation, it was like, I'm not interested in dates and times, but there is a huge audience that I would like to watch this film that are interested in true crime and are interested in dates and times. So we tried to find a balance where it's like, how can people actually get a gist of what happened with the character of Mavis Beacon, but also get the impression of what it was like for us as the investigators doing this search.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wanted to say that it is structured like a true crime thriller, and I can tell that that's deliberate. And you know, you do broach this in the film, but were there times and at what points did you start to wonder or feel maybe like insecure about the project? Like maybe like what if Renee like doesn't want anything to do with us, you know?
I think I'm happy. I think the film gives an honest impression of where our heads were at in the game. I mentioned this at the premiere, but I think Olivia makes peace with, you know, where we stand with Renee a full act before I do. And so on one hand, you have the arc of me being like in denial and trying to get to the bottom of it, and Olivia who's like spellcasting on the side, you know, protecting Renee and being like, hey, what's life outside of this investigation look like, and reminding me to kind of zoom out. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's I feel like the kind of chase, once it starts kind of, you know, like when you're in an airplane and they start like hovering over the like departure, I feel like there's a sense where emotionally it definitely felt like that for a couple of months, where we like weren't really sure like where we stood, how the subject was feeling, and we really wanted to still like give her that time to like marinate over the idea. We talked about a lot about like moving at the speed of trust and like not rushing things and kind of allowing it to evolve. But by doing so, that also gave us the space to like just concoct all these narratives and like
A lot of projecting.
think all of these thoughts that were like very thinkful and like kind of
Thinkful.
yeah.
So Renee Lesperance, this woman who serves as the likeness for Mavis Beacon, she has no digital footprint whatsoever now. And you talk about sort of retaining the right to be forgotten. I wondered for you, Olivia, you are a cyber doula. How did this make you reconsider your own onlineness? As obviously I know you both are very active online.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of put into perspective just like the idea of informed consent. I'm thinking about a lot. Like a lot of times we like don't really read terms and conditions. We kind of just click through stuff. And yeah, just thinking more about like risk analysis when it comes to like posting anything. But like, you know, not posting stuff that has your location in it until after you've left the place, or like being very like conscious of like what is in your background now that like we've deployed all of these tactics to track down a person. Like now I kind of understand how many tactics there are to track down a person if someone had like more creepy aspirations with that information than we did. And so I definitely feel like in terms of like having like healthy boundaries with technology, it definitely means something a little different than it meant even like at the start of the project with like the way that like AI has developed, the way like platforms are kind of like reshaping themselves to be like super, super personalized, super like echo chambery places that aren't always like the most like emotionally safe places or physically safe places. And so I definitely feel like mindfulness even more so than like removing oneself, because on one side I'm like, oh, I want to delete my digital footprint, and then on the other side it's like I don't want to leave social media. That's where you guys are, like that's where my friends are. And like it's so hard to I'm trying to get people on the, like Proton Mail email train, and nobody's sending me emails. And it's because we have these platforms that make it so easy, but also like encourage even like benevolent surveillance of friends. Like you always know like where your friend ate food at a couple of days ago, and we're just like used to that. And so I think kind of being more mindful and being more like in connection with like, oh, like actually like there was a not so far away time where like if we wanted to talk to our friends, we had to like go to their house.
Yeah, I think just piggybacking on that, it's like Olivia, I think, is such a beautiful balance to the type of person I am. Here she is mentioning Proton Mail. I'm still on Yahoo Mail. I'm the last person that's on Yahoo Mail. So like, it does. I'll tell you. And I think for me, my approach and my relationship to technology is a lot more theoretical. I'm coming from more of the art world side of things. And so I think I can be a lot more like conspiracy theory, doomsday, AI is going to get us. And Olivia, I think coming from a space of actually understanding how these things work, has actually given me a lot more hope and optimism about leaning into them and engaging with these type of technologies, and maybe not like always personifying them and projecting all of our own ideas onto them and just looking at it as like this is binary code made of crystals and rocks from the earth. And
computers are just rocks that learned how to tell time. That's all.
No, I mean, I see you two in the film complement each other so well because you do kind of represent this anxiety adult generation point of view. For you, you're a little more like measured and hopeful about things.
Totally.
It's hard to, I guess I don't want to spoil anything because there is kind of a suspense in the end of the movie, but has there been what's been the outcome? Like what's happened with the story for you since you like wrapped and locked the film?
I think I talk a lot about like this film is by no means living up to like a journalistic standard, but the film is very truthful to our experience. If you have questions about how we feel about things, how the subjects feel about things, what you see in the film is quite reflective of where we stand. So, you know, in terms of like the subject of our film, she is aware that we are here right now. We speak, we have our ways of being in touch. I would say, yeah, there's still, especially before the film, you know, finds its ultimate platform and everything, there's this like kind of open-endedness around things.
There might be an after credit scene. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm like, there is still room, and it's like, look, if Renee called me, you know, we would be ready to go. But I also do think that as you see me make sense in this film of like, okay, not everyone wants to share their story. What we have here is a story of Olivia and I. How do we make sense of this? I'm actually really glad things happened the way they did. I think it forced me as a creative to, it grew me as a creative. It grew my politics and my ethics. And I think had things worked out the way we were thinking they would, we wouldn't have grown as much.